Hello, it's Randi Rhodes. Here's a clip from our show, and go to randyrhodes.com for the whole thing and a podcast. Buy a stinking podcast.
Mary had a little man. The fault.
We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream today. Change has come to America.
Believe me.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show.
Turn up your mind.
The citizens of the United States of America that are responsible for executing this sacred democratic institution of elections are being threatened on a daily basis. I mean, you name it, whether it's emails, whether it's phone calls, whether it's people showing up at your house. This is not America I recognize, and it's got to stop. We need everyone across the leadership ranks to stand up. I think I would appreciate more support from my own party, the Republican Party, to call this stuff out and end it.
Yeah.
We got to move on. We have a president-elect in President-elect Biden. We have to move on. These officials that are Republicans, look at Georgia, Brad Raffensperger, Gabriel Sterling, Jeff Duncan. These are Republicans that are putting country over party. They're being subjected to just horrific threats as a result. This is not America.
So there's a nice young Republican man named Krebs who was fired from his job because he wouldn't put his party over his country, and certified that there was no interference in our election and that what we had here was one of the most secure elections in the history of the United States of America. And Donald Trump is rage tweeting at firing guys like him, and rage tweeting at Mitch McConnell and other Republicans like Ron Johnson in the Senate that we need to keep up the fight. And let me show you what this then produces, okay? Obviously you've got the psychos over at Newsmax.
Hey, it is not over.
It's not over.
It's not, actually. You can look it up in the Constitution. We'll see what happens, folks. Stand by for Stinchfield. Hey, it's tough. It's got a tough fight. Bleak, but he's been in tough spots before. Stay tuned.
Stay tuned, as if there's another outcome that is possible in our democratic system of government. Kayleigh McEnany, the McEnany, okay, she's doing it too, from the podium, from the White House. Okay, this is really vile. She was asked about whether or not Joe Biden would get the same courtesy that was extended to Donald Trump himself when there was a transition from the Obama administration to the Trump administration. You know, what happened back then was the Obama administration gave the green light for Donald Trump to begin confirmation hearings on cabinet members that he had selected for himself. You know, Michael Flynn, Don McGahn, all the people that are now gone and committed crimes, apparently. But Kayleigh McEnany was asked whether or not Donald Trump would extend the same courtesy to Joe Biden, and her answer was that Joe Biden's cabinet is still a hypothetical. I swear to God.
Question about confirmations of Biden's cabinet picks. President Trump had the benefit of the Senate starting hearings and starting the process before he was inaugurated in January of 2017. Does the president oppose the Senate taking up Joe Biden's nominees before the inauguration?
I think that's a hypothetical, and he won't get ahead of that activity actually happening. But he has taken all statutory requirements necessary to either ensure a smooth transition or a continuation of power.
A continuation of power? He lost. He lost. It's over. He lost. And this is eventually what happens when you're on the street, right? So far, we've seen people, testify under oath in the auspicious, Senate. We've seen Kayleigh McEnany at the podium in the briefing room at the White House. But on the street, it sounds more like this.
We will never back down to the satanic, pedophile, globalist, New World Order. and their walking dead, reanimated corpse, Joe Biden. And we will never recognize him. President Trump had zero connection to Russians, no proof, 4 years of investigation. With the Bidens, it's open and shut. So I don't know who's going to the White House in 38 days, but I sure know this. Joe Biden is a globalist, and Joe Biden will be removed one way or another.
Not only is that inciting violence, but that's advocating for the assassination of a president-elect. I mean, the seditious nature of these deranged syndrome sufferers, there has to be. I mean, please call your doctor, do a ZocDoc, do a, some sort of a Zoom call with your, find out what the hell is wrong with you before you actually kill someone or cause somebody to get killed. That's what Chris Krebs was decently testifying about. The amount of violence that has, now we've already had shootings and stabbings and other things. We've already had plots about governors being kidnapped, tried for treason, and killed. We have people showing up armed at secretaries of state's homes when they are putting Christmas decorations up with their children. This has got to end. This is just an amazingly sick and twisted ploy that Donald Trump has to raise money. See, in the end, this is just a grift. That's what this is. Donald Trump is telling his supporters, literally, they must support him financially for like the rest of his life. He's raising money on this. That is what is happening.
What do you see, for the next, obviously it's impossible to think 4 years out these days, but what do you imagine his post-presidential life to be?
I don't know. I think it's going to be continual grift and grievance. He's going to be trying to raise money and trying to continue, being the center of attention, because he needs to be the center of attention psychologically. So he's going to keep, stirring people up out there and probably trying to hold rallies and trying to raise money. And
without having the presidential seal, though,
it's going to be a lot harder.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering.
And there's going to be the grievance aspect. And that grievance aspect is going to be, he's going to his dying breath, he's going to claim that this election was fraudulently taken from him. And then you're going to hear more. If he gets prosecuted, we've seen reports by the New York Times most recently that the New York County District Attorney's Office is ramping up its criminal investigation of somebody, maybe the Trump Organization, maybe the president himself. And, he's just going to be a continual font of grievance until, forever. Until forever.
That's what I'm telling you. He is going to get his supporters to support him financially forever. Forever. And if there are criminal charges brought by the Manhattan District Attorney, that's what George Conway there was referencing. If there are criminal charges brought by the Manhattan District Attorney, Cyrus Vance Jr., Donald Trump will fundraise off of that too. Now, Letitia James yesterday prevailed in court yesterday. She has she's got civil lawsuits pending against the Trump Organization. All right. And she won a court decision yesterday that now requires Donald Trump to provide her office, she's an attorney general, her office with documents that she needs in order to figure out whether or not Donald Trump committed bank fraud, insurance fraud, and tax fraud, meaning he devalued the amount of his property, the value of his property for tax purposes, and inflated the value of his properties for the purpose of insurance coverage and bank loans, right? This all comes from the testimony of Michael Cohen. Now, those are civil investigations. But at any time, just so you know, she can make a criminal referral. If she finds crimes, she can make a criminal referral. So it's not really a big mystery about whether or not Donald Trump will end up, in court. either in civil court or criminal court. He is already an unindicted co-conspirator in the Michael Cohen money laundering case with regard to paying off the mistresses and funneling the money through law firms, which even Sean Hannity got live on the air. I mean, he stumbled into it and said it out loud. Whoops. But he's going to fundraise. He is going to literally tell the Alex Jones audience, the Newsmax audience, the OAN audience, the lunatic fringy audience in this country, the 35% of Americans who can barely get by and are being infected by a virus that he refused to acknowledge or come up with a national containment plan for. Hence, we now need a stimulus package. We need both a national containment plan and a stimulus package. Go to RandyRhodes.com for the whole thing and a podcast. Buy a stinking podcast.